Welcome back everyone. Anzac Day, long weekend, so Friday off yesterday to commemorate the Anzacs. So just in the shop now on a Saturday, walking around working on the VK. Not going to stay on this all day, to be honest. Just sort of need a little bit of a breather from it. It's probably one of the hardest cars I've restored. You know, you have a picture in your head of, you know, that they're not that old, or at least I do. I don't know why, for some reason, being that they're nearly 40 years old. But you know, just the plastic dashes and the little clips and everything, they're just so brittle and baked from the sun. You know, so it really is baby steps when these things are going together. And it's been challenging, to say the least, to get all the parts. This thing was an absolute basket case. We bought it as a rolling shell with, you know, the old story of, you know, it's all there in the boxes. It definitely wasn't. No big deal, you know. It's the same as restoring anything. You got to hunt for parts and do what you got to do to make the dream happen. But I'll just show you where I've sort of got to. So I've been mostly working on interior this time around. We had all this retrimmed in a genuine shield cloth. We tried to get some original seats but couldn't. So these are the Auto Technica replica seats. They are what they are. You know, they're comfortable to sit in, they look the part. What it doesn't give you though is obviously like the genuine runner setup. So I made some rail risers and just use the Auto Technica I should say sliders. They worked out all right in the end. So I've just been working on putting the dash in, getting that together. Unfortunately, leaky vacuum switch is holding me up putting the heater control and everything together. What else have I done? We've got the surround in for the center of the trans tunnel, sort of from the last video. Machined up shifter knob and shifter stick there yesterday, late arvo, and then got the console in. This one actually didn't have provision for the console mount at the rear, so I don't really know what was up with that. Whether or not it's just because it's the high-rise console. From memory they all had consoles in them, but anyway, long story short, there was a hole there but no riser bracket, so I just folded up a bracket and used some nut certs so that all bolts down legit, you know, rather than sort of using self-tapping screws and things like that that'll work loose over time. Moving on to the driver's side. So literally just put in the right hand side of the dash with the headlight switch, the dimmer and all that. Just did a quick test on that. That all works really good. I'm obviously missing a panel down there, and I'm kind of thinking it might have been a fuse panel. So we've relocated all our wiring and fuses and everything into some of the glove box area because we wanted that hidden. Got a couple of vacuum lines just hanging down. That's part of that controller. So we'll sort that out when that goes in. But that was all good. Still messing around with the scuff plates. I'm really not that happy with the way that they're sitting. In the last video we got front bumpers and things like that aligned as best we could. Aftermarket bumpers, but they came up pretty good in the end. Just put that passenger mirror on. Don't know why I hadn't got around to that, but that wasn't on. Anyway, that's enough of that one. We just got the drag car up on the hoist. We got the transmission just mock fitted without the converter. We want to measure up for a tail shaft, but as we were working on it, we found that this tube coming across in the chassis for a transmission mount, that was welded solid, so you had to do a fairly funky scenario to get the trans in. So we took that out and used some tube joiners to make a removable transmission mount. That transmission is the RTS SFI rated housing and bell housing, built by All Fast Converters in Malaga here in Western Australia. Simon out there built that one for us. And then we got this nice piece of bling. So that's an aluminium 9-inch div center built by RTS VPW in Victoria. Bruno, they hooked us up with a really good deal on that center. That's running a set of 411s. That'll suit what we're doing with the car, horsepower, trans, all the rest of it. So yeah, progress, absolute progress. Oh, and actually, just bear with me, come for a walk. We got this beautiful set of Street Pro front runners wrapped in a set of Mickey Thompson front runner tyres. But man, these things are so nice. Billet aluminium, light as, and I reckon they look killer. So yeah, that's going to look awesome on that VN. But like I said, I've probably had enough of messing around with plastic clips, and it's been a bit of super glue action this morning, which to be honest I'm not proud of, but I just can't believe how brittle that plastic is. Just the poor old VK that we started with must have been cooked in the sun for, yeah, most of its 40 years. It's just brittle as, and obviously we painted it up, you know, as the blue meanie interior. But yeah, I honestly just need a bit of a break from it. So that brings me to these massive C shapes full of holes. They're the tank brackets for the Chevy truck. We'll be running semi-style tanks on the outside of the chassis. So I'm just about to start cutting some steel and getting them all tacked up and welded out. So hang around and we'll get that done. So I just got one of those all clamped up there, just with 100mm spacers between the two. Got some chromoly tubes polished up and just starting to TIG weld those into place. So this is going to be a hell of a process, so we might just knock this one out and go from there. Back in the shop again. Sunday today, only going to be in for a few hours, but sort of welded up one of those tank brackets for the Chevy truck yesterday and thought I might try and knock another one out this morning. There's a little bit to them, it takes a bit of time. Could have MIG welded them, would have been a bit faster, but nice TIG welds on there, even though it's only crappy mild steel and it doesn't TIG weld great. It'll still powder coat up really nice and saves any clean up with grinders and things. So probably in the long run works out about the same amount of time. So we'll just check one of those out now. So that's one of the tank brackets all welded up there. It's got the chromoly tube inserted left to right to tie it all together. It's laser cut out of 5mm mild steel. These plates here will bolt to the chassis. They'll get welded at whatever height we want on the chassis for the tanks to be. And then I actually forgot to template them, but I'll just make these by hand. Just got to join a rectangle with a hole in the middle at each end down here. And then our tank straps will come out and around and hold our 200 litre tanks each side of the chassis. So should hold plenty of diesel and do plenty of miles. So we just got another one set up there ready to weld. Got everything cleaned up. Got the chromoly tube just sort of polished up. This is laser plate, so it's not as bad as you know, Chinese hot rolled steel. But yeah, it's still a little bit on the dirty side to weld up. So we'll get that all tacked up and then break the clamps out of the way and weld her out. Crank up the TIG. Get it going. So yeah, like I said earlier, it's not going to be a huge day today. Already been out for a walk with the dog and had some breakfast with Sue. So now it's yeah, do a little bit and then go home and have an afternoon off. Well, that's going to wrap it up for a Sunday. Tomorrow will be here soon enough and we'll be back in here doing it all again. Never really stops around here. We've got that much work lined up, it's not funny, but we're absolutely grateful for it. So we can keep, you know, keeping these race car and keeping these street car dreams alive. We've got heaps of engines to wrap up in the engine room as well, so plenty of that going on. So we'll just show you what we got done today. So we've got 2 tank brackets now, so we got we can have a bit of a look at mocking them up on the chassis in the Chevy truck and start making up a couple of fuel tanks. Make sure that's all going to work out right. Now, I just took my planishing hammer from against the wall there. We're just doing a bit of a workshop shuffle around. And I've been working on it starting a couple of videos ago, but I'm going to turn this rolling bench into more of a sheet metal bench. So I've just mounted the planishing hammer up on the bench there. Also, I've never had one of these before. I just bought a throatless shear and just gave that a bit of a whirl on a bit of sheet metal. Just saves lighting up a grinder all the time, you know, working with thin sheet metal. So the shaping stump that I made will live in under there as well, and we'll set up some clamp racks and things like that. And yeah, you just got to make the most of the space you have. So next week we'll be continuing on with the coupe as well as the drag car, and I've got some more bits in for the pro buggy that I needed, and I'll be back on that as well. So yeah, we'll probably wait to bring this video out in another week's time. Mostly because it was just similar content to the previous couple of weeks, so did a heap more on the VK, but all just boring stuff, you know, playing around with bullshit plastic parts and stuff like that. So that'll be my first and last plastic car restoration. So hang in there, and we'll bring you some more good stuff during the week. Just another day kicking it off in the dark. Got to get it happening early. Try and get a bit done before the workshop opens. So the sun's just coming up here in Western Australia. Just rocked up to the workshop. So time to get in and get it going on. So just getting in and turning a few lights on. We'll have a little walk around and see sort of what's up and where we're at. All right. Let there be light. Yep, that worked. So we're on the coupe yesterday. The Mad Thrash is on with that so that we can get it out to our auto electrician. And I think we can probably achieve that. Hopefully by the end of this week or very early next week. We've got an appointment with the engineer to go over a few things and just make sure that we've got all our paperwork in a row for registration. We got the, a bit hard to see, sorry, with the black, but we got the fuel tank and everything reinstalled. Did some pre-wiring on fuel pumps and things like that. We've got our little coilovers mounted in the back there, and the springs arrived for that yesterday. What else did we do? Most of the stuff underneath is already sort of buttoned up. Astra Power steering pump up there, that's full of oil ready to go. And yeah, a bit of stuff in the engine bay to do today, mount a battery and a couple other little things. We got to, on the drag car, on the rear doors, I just had to fiberglass in a couple of patches where the wheel tub affects where the rear door handle would have gone. So try and get them sanded out and filled this week. That's just chilling on the hoist for the minute until we can get back to that. Brendan was in yesterday and he was doing a whole heap of blocking on the Chev truck. Hang on, I'll just go and turn the light on. So this is the polyester primer being blocked out, and he checked that a heap of times as he was going, and he was really happy with the way that was blocking out yesterday, as is with the door. And he's done a bit on the cowl as well, and he'll probably be moving into that guard today. Now I believe with that one, once that polyester's blocked out, he'll re-2K prime and that's it. Then that one will be off to the actual paint shop proper to be knocked down and have the colour put on. So probably the biggest thing I've got left there is the grille was chemically dipped, but that really didn't work out how we wanted it, so we've just sent the grill out to be sandblasted, mainly just because the grill was so pitted down in the pits. We just couldn't really, guarantee that there was no little bits of rust hiding in there. So get them blasted and epoxy primed. If it breaks through with the blasting anywhere, because it is pretty fragile, obviously we'll have to repair that with metal, re-epoxy and go from there. And the bonnet's really good, but how do you put it? The edging where it lines up with the fenders is probably better than it was, when it was built in 1948. However, that doesn't actually say much because they're pretty crappy. So we're going to fit the bonnet back on, and may have to cut down the sides and do a little bit of sectioning to correct that gap. And I think now that we've gone as far as what we have, there's really no way around that. That just has to happen. So I reckon that'll probably take me the whole weekend to get the metal work done on that this weekend, but just got to keep pushing. We're so close, and if it means sacrificing, some whole weekends, well, so be it. What else have we got going on? So into what is actually the storeroom. This is not my engine room, but with the drag car where it was, I couldn't get into the engine room proper, so just flick the camera around. So that engine there was all sort of tidied up, and then this is a 383 small block Chevy Vortec block. Got all the bottom end assembled, a little bit hard to see with the reflection, but I'll leave the plastic on, just keep it all nice and clean. So just finished up the cylinder heads, just doing a bit of match porting on them yesterday, and waiting for those to come back from West Coast Cylinder Heads. So there's those two. Pro buggy, definitely next week. I was absolutely going to be back on that this week, but then to prepare for the engineer, we had to push on with the coupe, and then obviously, like I said, that gets that out to the Auto Sparky as well, so that frees up a bay, and also frees me up because that's just one less car. Anyway, still about an hour before the shop officially opens here, so I've just got a little bit of work to do before the boys show up, and then we will get into it proper. Well, back in the shop on a Sunday. It's a bit unusual for me, like I try and keep Sundays sort of workshop free, but VK is getting pretty close, and the sooner I can get it out of here means the sooner I can bring in the next one. So just in here doing a few tidy up jobs. Just got to move the alternator forward a little bit. the drive's not lining up as well as I'd like. So I'm going to start off by spacing that forward a little bit this morning, throw the belt back on and give it a run up and just see if that fixes a little issue that I'm having. And we'll have a little bit of a look at sort of what we got up to yesterday and what's coming up in the future. So Friday Arvo, I got all these Chevy parts into epoxy primer, sandblasted them all, laid down some epoxy just to speed things up for Brendan for next week. The owner of the coupe wanted to do all the interior trims around the windows in the same colour as the body. I think that'll look really good. What else did we get up to? Yesterday I had a bit of time to weld up these tank brackets for the Chevy truck, and as good as they look, I actually made a bit of a stuff up. So I was laying in bed at about 4 o'clock this morning and the light bulb went off and I was just like, oh crap. I knew when I designed these that I had like a J-bar, what we call a J-bar support in mind, like a semi-runs, and I just couldn't really figure out what I was doing there, or I don't know. But when I set them up for height the other day, I thought I sort of had it all right and how I originally intended it, but I'll show you where I've messed up. So this kick in the bracket here was supposed to allow for a J-bar bracket to run across under the chassis, but when I was about to put them together, I liked the style of the top of that, the way it sort of ran, that was sort of going to be more like visible, I guess. So I guess now what I'm going to do is I'll put a support through here and do a bracket down and pick up a support that picks up this chassis plate and runs across, and that'll just take any ability of that bracket to sort of be able to fall away from the chassis with the weight of the fuel. Not that it would be an issue, but we're going to do big miles in this truck, so we want everything to be nice and solid. The deck plate, when that goes on, will be flat from this rise in the chassis, and those brackets will actually fit under the deck plate. So, as happens a lot with these things, you know, sometimes you make a bit of an error, but you got to come up with a way to get around it and make it look like it was always planned. That's pretty much Hot Rodding 101. So today we're just under the bonnet of the VK, and I've got a spacer that I had made for another engine that'll block this beautiful billet aluminium bracket by Lowe's Fabrications. It'll just push that forward about 10 mil and put my alternator drive a little bit more central in the Gilmer pulleys, and I think that'll stop the issue. It's just a little bit on the noisy side. The belt is tending to favour the back side of the water pump and the balancer pulleys, so I think that'll sort that out. So that's the job I'm going to do to start up. I got lucky on a Sunday there. I didn't actually have to make that. I had that left over from an engine ages ago and had it in the engine room. So that lined that up dead nuts. So we'll have a little look. So that belt's running perfectly true, right smack in the middle of the pulleys. Doesn't get any better than that, so should be good. sorted there on the VK. We've got that belt drama sorted out, so that's really good. We're having a bit of an issue with blowing the wiper motor fuse, and we thought it may have been the wiper motor, but it doesn't appear to be. We just put a new one in there, and with it unplugged it's fine. So there must be something in the wiring when the car was rewired, so I'm sure the Sparky will take care of that next week for us. So just before I headed off, kind of figured I might as well just do some sanding on one of the doors off my dad's International truck. We actually bare metaled another one of these on Saturday afternoon, and it's really refreshing to see that these aren't completely rusted out. So obviously some surface rust got into it, but that's just 80 grit gone over that. We've got to cut through here and section the top of the door anyway, because there's 4 inches that'll need to be taken out of this, because we gave it a 4-inch roof chop on the cab. Came across some patches of filler that must have been in there for a really, really long time. Door skin's got a reasonably nice crown in it, but you see that there, it is a bit stretched in the middle with those couple of dents, and on the edge looks like the door might have maybe flung open and creased it a bit. So we'll have to shrink that center down, bring these lows up, and do the absolute best job of metal finishing I can on it. We've got some rust in the corners here, so I'll open that up really quite big to make sure that we can get in there and clean all that up behind and treat it all. And a couple of tiny little spots breaking through here, but same story. I'll probably come up about 150 mil, maybe even across the corner on that one, potentially even across the corner on that one as well. So that's Sunday afternoon done, and time to go out and chill out for half a day and hit it back up next week and get right back into everything. Anyway, thanks heaps for watching. I know this one is a hell of a jump around. We'll try and sort of put some more constant flowing stuff together, but all our builds that we do are huge. They go on for years, so really it's just updating, showing sort of what's going on, and hopefully we can dig a bit deeper into some of the things and sort of show the hows and whys. One thing that sort of did occur to me working on the VK today was, I completely get it from a customer's point of view. You look at the car and you think, well, it's together, it's running, it must be nearly ready to go. But I'm doing so many little 1% things on this car. I mean, it's my personal car. But not only that, it's the way we do everything. So, until everything is dialed in and right, it's just not ready to go. So we built our black truck, our 51 Bedford, the same way a few years back, and I think that's going on 3 years now, and we haven't revisited one single thing on that car, really since the day it hit the road. So we've just got to keep chipping away. They're only small jobs, we'll get there, and the car will be far better for finishing it right. So we'll leave with a little pan down the side, a little bit more wall art up on the weekend as well. Take it easy, be good.